Highlander is a family-friendly SUV and a top seller in its 3-row segment, but I still thought it was missing a little something when we tested it last year. And even though the Highlander was updated for 2023, that's old news now, because behind me here is something bigger, something more grand. It's the all-new Toyota Grand Highlander, emphasis on grand because, well, it's grander than the Highlander. The all-new Grand Highlander is available as a hybrid or in this tested gas-powered version that uses a 265 horsepower turbocharged 2.4-liter 4-cylinder engine. Our observed average was 9.3 liters per 100 kilometers after a week of driving pretty much equal amounts on the highway and city roads. That's much lower than NRCan's combined rating of 10.7 liters per 100 kilometers. You might be wondering how the Grand Highlander is different from the regular Highlander that also has a hybrid variant. Well, just like many other vehicles that have added a Grand to their name, it's a bit bigger than the original. More specifically, the Grand Highlander is 152 millimeters longer and 50 millimeters taller than the Highlander. I don't think it needed to be any taller, but hey, Canadians seem to love big SUVs, so sure, let's do that. That extra bit of length makes a world of difference, however. Not only do third-row passengers have ample legroom now, but there's even an adequate amount of space in the cargo area. With the third row seats up, there's 583 liters. When those third row seats are folded, whether it's one of the 60-40 split sides or both, you'll get way more space. With both sides down, it'll open it up to 1,640 liters. It's a much larger area that can fit pretty much anything the average family outing can throw at it. As a mom of 3, I'll always take any extra storage space that I can get because that means more room for whatever lives in your family vehicle. Here in the Grand Highlander, I've found so many usable storage spaces. For example, there's this storage area beside the wireless phone charger, and another deep pocket beside the front cup holders, not to mention a slide opening in the center console that reveals a huge storage area. Plus, one more for the front passenger down here. I think it was really smart that Toyota decided not to make it a complete pass-through because you never want something accidentally sliding into the driver's area. Then, there's a pocket in front of the front passenger that's conveniently located beside a USB-C charge port. Moving back, for second row passengers, there are 3 slots beside the cup holders that can easily hold some books, markers, snacks, you get the idea. And even the third row has an extra slot beside the cup holders. The third row can now easily fit a couple adults who lost the bet and ended up in the back row. There's a latch that just needs to be pulled up and the seat moves forward to let someone hop into the back. The third row passenger can also let themselves out by pulling that same latch. My only minor issue with the seats is that moving them isn't quite kid-friendly. My 7-year-old couldn't get out from the third row on his own, but that's not a total deal breaker. It's important to note that if you've got a couple small kids in the second row, meaning car seats that are latched into there, then the captain's chairs won't be able to lean forward for easy access to the third row. Frequently taking a car seat in and out of the family vehicle isn't fun, so take note of that minor issue that should only affect larger families with more than 2 young children who require frequent access to that third row. Side note, the lower trim offers seating for 8, while this limited trim offers 7 seats. Additionally, my eldest child struggles to pull that second row seat back into its proper position once her brother is safely in the third row. But again, that's not a deal breaker when it comes to this SUV because there's just so much good happening here. Previous Toyota infotainment systems were severely lacking and seemed to be far behind those of competing brands, but not anymore. The 12.3-inch touchscreen is simple and easy to use and can wirelessly connect to Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, making it easier to queue up that Disney playlist. The sound system in here is actually pretty decent, but the standout feature, especially compared to older Toyota models, is the improved panoramic backup camera that's a million times better than the one found in the current Sienna. The center HVAC buttons are a little confusing at first, but they're easy to get used to after a couple days of using it. And their actual physical buttons, so I can't really complain about anything there. Plus, if you really aren't a fan, the Grand Highlander will answer to "Hey Toyota" and change the settings at your command. There's also a large sunroof to brighten up this dark interior, but don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining about a dark interior that might be easier to hide the marker stains that are bound to make their way on the seats eventually. At least the leather seats that are heated and ventilated in the front, as well as heated in the back, will be easy to wipe clean when juice gets spilled, and I guarantee it will. But that has nothing to do with the vehicle itself and more the messy children in it. It's a relatively smooth and responsive ride, but one other thing to note with this Grand SUV is that while it's really easy to back into a parking space in a packed mall parking lot, it wasn't quite as simple to get into the garage at my townhouse. It fits, but it's a tight squeeze, meaning if a kid tries to get out, the door will most definitely hit a wall. Here's where a minivan sliding doors would be really useful. And speaking of the minivan, in my opinion, the Grand Highlander is huge competition for Toyota's own Sienna. Minivan sales are dying as families prefer large SUVs. I'd pick the Sienna over the Highlander, but I'm more and more inclined to say I'd pick the Grand Highlander over the Sienna, but those sliding doors would certainly be missed. Other three-row SUVs that compete in this segment are the popular Kia Telluride, Hyundai Palisade, and Mitsubishi Outlander. The Outlander also has a plug-in hybrid variant. The gas-powered Grand Highlander starts just over $50,000 before the $1,930 destination fee, while this tested limited trim starts at $57,945 and adds $255 for the premium paint color. For those wanting to get into the hybrid trim, you're looking at a starting price over $60,000, while the top platinum trim costs $65,450. Toyota has really stepped up its game with this new Grand Highlander. As someone who is critical of just how family-friendly a vehicle truly is, this one ranks pretty high in my books. The extra legroom and cargo goes a long way for larger families or those who road trip often. Plus, the updated tech finally brings Toyota into a modern space. If there was ever a vehicle to change my mind about minivans, it's this 2024 Toyota Grand Highlander. For more SUV reviews and news, check out Driving.ca or visit us on social media.